Cool.
We're in.
Good to go. Well, this has been quite a journey so far. My name is Brittany Ashley. I'm here with Tegan and Sara, wonderful musicians. And let's just jump right into it because we only have 30 minutes. So let's just talk about what you guys are doing right now. You kind of pulled a Beyonce, and you're making a music video for every song that is on your album. And Oro wants to know, what has been your favorite so far?
It would be like if we pulled a Beyonce, but we're like the kids in the neighborhood who are like playing in like an empty lot or garage, and they're like, let's make videos. Like that's but her level of making videos is like epic. But we did attempt to work with 10 different collaborators and video artists, and we really gave a lot of freedom. Like we didn't. I mean, a few people. It was sort of a part of their process to sort of get a few different ideas about like, oh, what did you write the song about, or do you have any ideas? But a lot of people, we just sort of let them run with it, and so far we've done 8, and
2 are in production right now, and it'll be out before the end of the year.
And it's hard to pick a favorite one because it's like they've all been so different. For like right now, of course like mine tend to be the ones I'm not in, just because I'm like so self-loathing that it's easier for me to just like enjoy it without being like, why did I wear that? Or
sure.
So which one's your favorite then?
I really love Hang On Tonight.
Yeah, it's a good one.
But I love them all. But I do love them all.
That's awesome. So you are touring this fall. Where are you most excited to go for America's favorite season?
You know what? We just finished leg 1, and we did a lot of the South, which was really fun, in the West Coast. But I'm excited now. Yeah, we're heading into like deep fall weather.
Yeah.
You know, when we're playing St. Louis, we're playing Nashville, we're playing New York, we're hitting up Toronto. We're all kind of all over more like Midwest and Eastern and shows, and I'm really excited. But I think probably the dates we're most excited about, just because it happens to work out, that we're playing Washington D.C. the 2 days before the election.
Wow.
And then we have a day off in D.C. on election day.
That's perfect.
So I don't know if this is like a really good thing or like a really scary thing, but either way, we're like in it.
I think it'll be a really good thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really cool tour. There's like, you know, there's some shows that are sold out, but mostly there's still tickets available. Like I saw all these tweets today of people complaining that they didn't know about the tour, and I'm like, well, stop complaining and get your fingers clicking.
Yeah, look it up, people.
Look it up,
we
people.
have the interweb. And another cool thing about this tour is that you're reworking the dynamics of your live shows. You're doing wireless mics. There's going to be a lot more movement. And Angela wants to know if there's any talks of doing a live album.
We are actually in the talks of doing a live album. It might be not exactly live. It might be more like I'm very controlling. I don't actually love the sound of live music. I think live music is supposed to be heard in real time.
Yeah.
And I think there's something that's really difficult to capture, and I'm just really picky. So what I would love to do, and we are talking about doing, is taking the arrangements, like the way the songs sound right now live, in some cases fairly dramatic differences from like the album versions to the live versions, and record them in a studio.
Yeah.
So it's a variation of a live album.
Yeah, new versions of old songs, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah,
we're also talking about acoustic versions of this new record, Love You to Death. Yeah.
Kind of like bringing back the MTV Unplugged.
Kind of, or, you know, and then also showcasing the songwriting, right? Like, there's so much production on records these days, and we've been aiming for more pop production, but these songs specifically, there's a lot of, intensity and depth to them, and I think it would be really neat to strip them down to their, like,
their core.
Their basics, yeah.
Totally. So another question about the tour. Jesse says, I know you got a whole new set of band members. They rock, by the way. What do you look for in a band member?
Well, I mean, mostly we look for people who can actually play the instruments.
That seems important.
That's like the first main focus. No, of course, like it goes without saying. But a lot of it is personality. Tegan and I will generally sort of narrow it down to people who are qualified, maybe 4 or 5 people, and then we'll just sit with people and talk with them.
Cool.
And I think because we're sisters, and because we communicate a lot, and because it's a very personal environment, it's a must that we can like chill and hang out with people.
Yeah.
So, and we also, visually always sort of have an idea. Like with Heartthrob, we were really specific about wanting like cute dudes. Like we were like, we want like a cute Heartthrob band or whatever. And this time we were looking for people who, we wanted to make sure that we actually found a female musician,
Mm-hmm.
like, and that sounds like a no-brainer, but it's actually, you know, sometimes
We've never had a
the
girl.
girl,
play with us
the
before.
girls that are out there are so good. Sometimes I feel like it's like they're the hardest people to get to come play in your band because they're either in badass bands or they're like, are like even Eva Gardner who's playing bass for us. She's
Mm-hmm.
played with Pink for like 10 years. Like it's hard to steal somebody,
Totally.
you know, or not even steal, but like hard to get somebody to play with you when they're out with such
And
incredible
we wanted people who could sing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, so many people, like, we love using as many backing vocals as we possibly can from the record to showcase some of the harmonies from the record, but we love the idea of trying to replicate some of that live. And
Yeah.
so Gabe, who's playing keyboard, and Eva are both singing, which is really cool to sing with real human beings.
Who aren't us.
Who aren't us.
Instead of robots like before.
Yeah,
that was
it's hard though. You spend so much time, like with Heartthrob, we spent almost 4 years with our band, and we just loved them all so much. And
Yeah.
they're all doing amazing things. Like
Mhm.
Ted's playing with Kesha, Adam is playing with Troy Sivan, Jasper's, you know, musical director, production person now here in LA. Like you become like best friends with them. You live on a bus with them
Yeah.
for years, and so when you go looking for a new musician, like Sarah said, it's about, can we hang with these people? Can we become like family with them? You know, are they gonna
be good roommates? Because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they have good bathroom etiquette? Just kidding. You
Yeah.
can't ask people that.
That makes a ton of
It's just
sense.
a crapshoot. You just have to see what happens.
Yeah. And also in this latest album, the subject matter explores gender identity a little more, it seems. And also there's themes of sexuality, as there has been. And Beth wants to know your opinion on society's desire to label everyone's sexual identity and gender identity.
Well, I have a sort of challenging. I feel like I'm in a challenging position because as a public person who is working to make change, like real legislative change and social change, I think by definition we have to claim ourselves and make ourselves visible. You can't like we can't sort of all fall under that sort of like umbrella when so much of what society is defined by gender and sexuality. So although I really respect that, and in my own world actually identify so much more on the spectrum and more fluid and complicated than I would ever ramble on about like on radio in an interview or something, like for me it has been very easy to just say I'm queer. Like what does that entail? Well, depending on what the situation is, I might explain that to more, you know, to more I might say more about it than I would in some cases, but mostly I've felt that just defines me as not being heterosexual and, you know, and sort of having a straightforward gender identity.
Yeah.
But
I'd love to
live in a world where we don't see those things or we don't have to acknowledge those things, but we do live in that world. And so I'm happy to identify that way more strictly so that I can help, you know, identify other people like us and make change for people like with people and for people like that, like us. But I don't care if I meet somebody and they're like, I don't identify as any gender. I'm fluid and, you know, whatever. I'm always like, great.
Yeah.
Like it's super cool. It's just not. It's for me. I've definitely been drawn to a more disciplined kind of definition.
Totally.
We're like Virgos. We're really anal, and so I'm always like.
I do love it though. Like this last year, being off the road and watching how much has changed, and just seeing this movement of young people who are really being visible and really being outspoken about all of this has been super exciting for us. I mean, honestly, just it's thrilling.
It's
like,
so different.
It's moved things forward so quickly in a way that I just didn't expect, and it's really exciting.
How do you believe things have changed?
Well, I mean, when we started in 1997, we were just out of high school, and you know, we talk about like there was a whole phase of our career, the early part of our career, where people would lower their voices when they would say lesbian. You know, or they'd be like,
it was like a bad word.
It was a bad word. It was like they were telling you you had an STI. Like they were just like, we have some news for you. You have lesbian disease, and also people would apologize before they brought up sexuality.
They still kind of do.
There's still an apology, but like a lot of people, I mean like almost everyone, including gay press, like it would be like, I'm sorry I have to ask questions about you being gay. And I think we had to really fight a lot of the early part of our career to make people realize that it wasn't a disease, it was not a bad thing, that it was something we were really excited and proud about. And we also had to constantly talk about it because we felt like we really wanted to change people's perspective and change people's idea of what it meant to be queer. And then there was like a whole phase of our career where we started to see movement, which felt really exciting. It felt like we could take a break for a second and be like, wow, it doesn't have to be the only thing that we talk about.
Yeah.
And I really will say, I think especially on this last record cycle with Love You to Death, we put it out in June, so we've been out working now for about 6 months on this record, and I feel like the tone and the education levels of people that we talk to is so respectful. It feels like even mainstream regional press seems to understand what we're talking about, and it feels really nice. And I just am overwhelmed by how many young, people are coming out and fighting, how many people are being visible and outspoken. I mean, our social media feed is just full of people with incredible positive stories. There's a lot of fighting to do here. There's a lot of activism that still needs to take place. There's a lot in our world that needs to change. But I think often we focus on that all the changes and the negativity, and I feel very responsible for making sure that there's also like a really positive change that's happening. It really is. But there's so much more to be done.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
Yeah.
Do you think that there is a responsibility to come out when you're in the public eye?
I mean,
it
just
what you're doing.
And it depends who it is and why and how. And on a personal level, I think coming out and living a transparent life is something that we all deserve. I'm not saying it's a responsibility and you must, or you're a coward or an asshole for not coming out, but I think it's something that we should all want. Mm-hmm. And I know it's something that I always wanted, and when I see my friends who are straight, they don't even remotely think about it, and they also get to claim, I want a private part of my life and a public part of my life, but they don't have to, they don't feel stressed out by by not talking about their sexuality. No one is mistaking them for being gay. They're just straight. And for me, I think declaring my status as a queer person has been important, because I don't want anyone to assume that I am straight. I don't actually want to live under the assumption and benefit from straight privilege. I feel it's important for me. Do I think it's important for everyone? I can tell you it's not, because most people I know don't want to talk about it, and I think that there are those of us that do, and I just, like Tegan said, we try to stay focused on the positive parts. Every night we sit backstage and read stories and letters from people who are living out transparent lives because they felt inspired, because they wanted to. We've met with, before Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed, I mean, we used to sit with military personnel who had lived their whole lives hiding their relationships or choosing to not be in relationships to avoid having to hide their families and their feelings. And I fight for those people. If you are somebody who's like a mainstream person and doesn't want other people to know that you're gay, I don't even care. Whatever.
That's fair. So obviously we're on Her, the dating but also community app, and I wanted to ask, have you ever, or would you ever use an app? Had the situation
like a dating app?
Correct.
I don't know. I mean, I have found myself single many times over the last 10 plus years of my adulthood, and
10 plus years. It's nearly 20. Let's just be careful about how we say that.
The first couple times that I was single, there was not an app for it, and I can remember vocally complaining to people and being like, how do you meet people? Especially when you're a public figure. When I go on a blind date, you end up just relying on friends. Mm-hmm. So when apps got really popular for dating, I thought it was a really cool concept, but I immediately was like, there's just no possible way that I could use an app. That would be it just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. How do you trust that people would be interested in you for you? They already have this preconceived notion. That's what's so fun about dating, is meeting someone who doesn't know anything about you and getting to know them.
Or they know a lot about you and you can know a lot about them, and there's a balance.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for me, I would be very skeptical that I could meet someone that wouldn't, I don't know. I feel like it would be weird. But that being said, I do know of people who are public who have used apps for dating, and they claim it does work. I'm not single, so I can't say if I would do it or not, because
I'm going to break up with my girlfriend.
Yeah, Sarah's offered to break up with her partner.
I'll get back to you guys on that.
I think there's, I will say this, that it's very hard for me to unravel my public identity and what I do for a living from the part of me that would want to do something like that. Mm-hmm. I'm having trouble imagining me without that stigma of who I am attached to me, but I do know people who've done it, and they claim that it's possible, that there's, that you can do it. And I said right before we went live that there are people in my life who I'm going to tell to use this app now that I know more about it. So I think that the app is really cool. I think the community part of it is brilliant, because it allows you to meet people and be a part of the community before you might even need to date. Mm-hmm. But then if you need to date, you already have a community built and a relationship with the app. So I think the whole thing's really cool. I just, I even have Instagram, or Facebook. So, I'm just a weirdo,
and still without BlackBerry. But,
Yeah.
And yeah, so when I was in college, I didn't there wasn't really anything. Like you would have to go on like Craigslist, which was scary.
That sounds so
God.
upsetting. I'm gonna get a
But
bike
back
at the
then
beach.
it was the thing. Do you find that apps like Her, for instance, where it focuses on a marginalized community, do you find that those are kind of more helpful than the more mainstreams, or could you imagine that they would be more helpful and a necessity?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that.
Well, I'm gonna jump in and say that I have a friend who went on. I think it must have been Tinder, and she was lesbian. She was a lesbian. And one night, like, she was showing me the whole swiping left and right and the whole thing or whatever, and she was saying that it's really hard, was claiming that it was really hard on those apps because a lot of these women would identify as bisexual, but when it really came down to it, they weren't really that interested in dating women. And so that level of rejection that came from the not really being clear. I like the idea that an app is like angling for one community, especially a marginalized community, and as a sexual minority, I could see myself really thriving in a place where I was only talking to people who also identified similarly. But it's also just really hard for me to imagine doing. I think I would be the type of person.
One of us has a high level of confidence and self-esteem about.
Well, I have a very high confidence and
networking.
self-esteem. Maybe that's why I don't feel like I need an app. Is that I have no problem like meeting people.
It is true. I was single once. At one point in my life, I was single for almost 5 years.
I don't. I'm like, when I'm ready, lots of hands up in the room. Lots of hands up in the room identifying is also hard to meet. I don't know. I'm like a social person, and I like meeting people. But I like the random chance. I'm a romantic. I want to meet someone out in the wild. You know what I mean?
Is that the most ideal way?
I think for me, like the random chance of meeting someone is so thrilling, but I also admit that like I have the baggage associated with who I am that I feel like it's the public part of it that would scare me. But I mean, my mom has been with her partner for 12 years and they met on a dating app. Like, I mean, I'm a firm believer that you can find love and friends and community, and
we know so many people who've
and also that 12 years ago.
Yeah.
She was on a dating app.
Imagine how hard she had to wait, like for her
You've Got Mail.
slowness. Yeah, so slow.
We have a question from Kim. Have you ever fangirled at meeting someone?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we act like spazzes all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, we're really weird.
Who's
the weirdest? Who did we behave weirdly with recently though?
Oh god, I just feel like we send most people. I hate using the word famous because I don't even know what that means anymore. But like to varying degrees, public or identifiable people generally seem to recoil from our energetic impulses. Like we're just too much energy. I can't tell if it's because there's two of us, but my most common feeling when I'm meeting with people of any kind of level of public status is they want to get away from us. I think we're overwhelming, and I think that some people who've ended up really liking us, I have felt really strongly about them right away. Like for some reason I'm thinking right now like Sarah Bareilles. Like when we met Sarah Bareilles, I immediately was like, I love you. Like I think we all said I love you the first time. We might have said I love you to each other when we met each other. Like it was just like, she was so awesome and we were just like, we love you. Like, we want to be your friend. And she wasn't scared of us.
So are you guys friends now?
Yeah, we are friends.
That's great.
Hey Sarah, she watches all of my live.
Yeah, she's really
What's up, Sarah?
Yeah. She's just always like, let me know when you guys are going to be on Facebook Live. No, she's so rad. And I think we're also... we do fangirl because we are big fans of things. I will say that.
Yeah.
And we're nice. Like I think we're just enthusiastic, nice people. And I think sometimes when you're a successful person, I mean this is like a bit of a sweeping statement, but I think a lot of successful people and famous people have a bit of a barrier because a lot of people want things from you all the time. And I think Tegan and I, because we were twins and we were always kind of in a weird, vague way, like there is a similarity to being twins in the world and then having a successful music career. Like people...
It didn't work out for the Olsen twins.
No, it didn't.
Their album sucked.
I mean, Foil Sport also did. But people always paid attention to us in a way where we were sort of like forced to figure out like who was genuinely interested and who wasn't. And so we like meeting people, we like talking to people, and I think that that barrier that a lot of famous people have, we don't have, and I think that actually scares other famous people sometimes.
I get that.
We scare famous people, so we're still friends with our friends from junior high.
Yeah, we just don't bring us around a bunch of famous people.
When in the press, when people are like, tell us about some of your famous friends, I'm like, literally, Sarah's the only famous person I know. It's true, the other day I said I think Tegan might legitimately be the most famous person I know. Like, we've, of course, met. Yeah, we met famous people, but like, that's, most famous people don't hang out with other famous people, I don't think, and I don't think we're famous, so Sarah's literally the most famous person I know.
Yeah, I am. I'm very famous.
I know, yeah.
Or her cats. Like, I get crazy about
what
the cats.
What a great segue that I'm actually gonna... I got a lot of questions about Sarah's cats. But a question that I have for both of you, what would you do if, Tegan, imagine you had a cat and you loved it.
I can imagine
what would you do if a woman that you were dating had an allergy to your cat?
Well, this has been a big thing, is that since Sarah... Connecting.
Okay, there we are back.
Since Sarah got Holiday and Mickey, a lot of people ask me if I have animals, and I say no. And then
literally,
they say,
Abby wanted to know.
Yeah, Abby, I hear you. A lot of people ask me that, and
imagine Tegan had enough self-control to like just be like, yeah, I have a cat, but it's not worth
it. Yeah.
I have a cat. It's
just a normal domestic American short hair.
I'm not gonna politicize my cat.
Yeah. My cat's fluid identity, and it doesn't want to have to define itself as a cat. So.
I've always wanted a cat. I've been in, a couple long relationships with people who didn't really like cats, so we didn't get a cat, and then have been most recently in more a transitional time in my phase where I'm a little less stable and a little more like moving around a lot, and so having a cat just didn't make a ton of sense. But Sarah and I are sharing the same city for the first time in many, many, many years, and so I got to take care of the cats a couple times and hang out with the cats, and I got to watch what having two very special cats have done to Sarah's life, and I feel like I'm ready to have a cat later in life, but maybe not right now.
I get it. If as a nation we could domesticate a certain species of animal to have as a pet, which would you choose?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question, actually.
Thank you. I came up with that one by myself.
Did you really? Wow. I mean, when people send you pictures of like really cute like baby otters.
I haven't had that experience.
Okay, I'll send you a bunch after this. But like, like all the animals that are like kind of long, like what are like chinchillas and like the ones that stand up on their back feet, like
a prairie dog.
Yeah, those like they all seem really like imagine like a couple generations into like domesticating them. That would be pretty cool. Like you come over to my house, not a cat, not a dog, but like an otter.
Yeah.
But they have to be in water all the time.
They don't have to always be in water. They can go on land too. I'm missing the one that I'm really thinking is super cute. What's the one that Abby really likes?
Well, that's chinchillas, but those are domesticated.
Oh, they have domesticated them. Mm-hmm. Like I'm gonna stick with otter.
How about you?
I mean, now that I have animals,
because now you have to think of will they get along with your cats?
Yeah.
So
the truth is that I've never been a dog person, and growing up, we lived in a time and also place where you had big dogs. Like your dog lived outside; it had to survive the winter.
Definitely didn't go to the movies in a bag with you.
It sure as hell did not come on a frickin' airplane and take up a seat. Grow up. Sorry to people who...
Hey,
I know, but still. I grew up in a time where a dog protected the family and the land that you were on, not slept in a baby bassinet next to your fucking bed.
It's like dog masculinity.
It's out of control.
You guys.
But recently I've almost taken it out against dogs, as you can probably tell. But then someone reprehended me and said you are actually mad at dog ownership, the way dog owners are being. Don't get mad at dogs. And so I've had a bit of a turnaround, and I have considered that I think I could have a dog.
But that dog is already domesticated. That wasn't.
But that whole explanation was worth it.
I know, but I don't think I want anything. What am I supposed to say here? A giraffe? Fine. I want a giraffe.
We will accept giraffe. It is almost Halloween, ladies. Do you feel pressure to do a costume together?
No,
never have.
No, we did that for 18 years in a row, so it's cool now.
Do you know what you'd like to be? This is another Abby question.
Oh, okay.
What's up? You missed it. But
and that's what I want to be for Halloween.
And that's why
we're playing in Boston on Halloween, so anybody out there this is from Boston, then you should come to the Tegan and Sara show. But I actually was going to save this for an email, maybe a mailing list or an announcement on social media. But I'm going to encourage people coming to see the Boston show, and we're going to put together a prize pack for it to dress as Tegan and Sara, from your favorite era. So I could be so jealous, Tegan and Sara, or like the con with the green stripe, you know.
Or when you guys were like 5.
Or
like
children versions of us, I guess.
Yeah,
Maybe,
baby.
you know. But I really would like it to encourage, because I think it's going to be live streamed, so people can watch the live stream of our Boston show on Halloween. We'll post information. I don't have any of that. I did not retain, but I think it would be so cool. All audience shots are like the audience's like funny costumes of Tegan and Sara.
That's your next
a good
music
idea,
video,
right?
I
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So this year, I think I'm just gonna probably go as Sara.
I'm probably just gonna go as me too.
Oh, cool.
Okay, great.
Have you ever repeated a costume?
I'm just gonna go ahead and say this, and it potentially correlates with why I was single for so long. I'm not like the kind of person who gets excited about Halloween or wants to dress up or even have fun that much. So Halloween, I can't even think of the last time that I even wore a costume.
Wow.
I was a sailor. There, I can remember. I was a sailor in 2004.
Wow.
It's been that long.
Ouch.
It's made it a challenge for my partners. But do you want to know what? This is a real thing. I'm not just saying this to be funny. When I met the woman that I'm dating now, this was years ago, before, when we were just acquaintances and friends, she was going on a date with a guy. On Halloween, we were doing a show in Brooklyn.
Okay.
On Halloween,
Okay.
I met her for coffee. We were just friends, and she was going on some date, like to a pumpkin patch or some shit. And she was like, I was like, "Are you excited?" And she's like, "No, I fucking hate Halloween." And I was like, "So I used to refer to the guy she went on the date with as Mr. Halloween. How's Mr. Halloween? Are you guys still going out? What's happening?"
Clever.
And one of the things that makes us so compatible, even 6 years later, is that we both don't really care about Halloween.
Is there a holiday that you do care about?
I like Christmas, but I don't like to get gifts, and I like to generally be alone on it. But it's still I like
So
it.
you hate Christmas?
I like the
God.
season of Christmas.
Guys, keep all this in mind when Sarah joins the app. When she's single, hates holidays
Yeah,
and
if
dogs.
Stacey breaks up with me, just use this live feed as my profile.
Just this
Difficult, hates Halloween, doesn't answer questions that were asked of her, just answers whatever she wants.
No. Well, maybe you'll answer this one. Favorite twin conspiracy theory, or what twin myth can you debunk?
Well, this is something that's super interesting because there's our Canadian version of MTV is called MuchMusic, and we went to their big awards show this year, which was the first time we'd ever gone. And one of the reasons why I felt anxious about doing the MuchMusic Video Awards, while honored to be included and invited, you have to do a huge entrance. So people come up with pretty elaborate entrances, and there was a lot of stress around what our entrance would be. And fun guy over here was like, let's just go in a car like adults. Like, why can't we just get out of a sedan and just walk in like normal people? And I was like, that is not how it's done. You obviously have never watched the MMVAs. What we ended up doing was renting a double-decker open-top bus and filling it full of identical twins. It was really hilarious, and I think it went over really well. We were right behind Nick Jonas. He drove up in like an old, like kind of muscle car.
By the way, I did not suggest a sedan. I actually suggested like a convertible or just a normal
But we
car.
don't have driver's licenses, so it posed some problems because we would have to sit in the back and have someone drive us. So anyway, we pull up in the double-decker bus with all these twins. But we first had to sit in the double-decker bus for like an hour talking with the twins, who were all hysterical. So funny, awesome. And over that hour, this is the answer to your question, we talked a lot about all the things people say to us about being twins. Can we read each other's minds? Can we feel each other's pain? Do we still live together even though we're in our mid-30s? Etc. Did we ever dress like each other? Did we ever confuse people when we were growing up and pretend to be each other? Did we ever date the same people? All of the answers to those questions are no. We don't feel each other's pain. We can't read each other's minds. We do not live together. We've never dated the same person. And whatever. This busload of twins, they were all like, we used to pretend to be each other all the time. I can totally feel her pain. I was like, it's you people. It's you. It's all these other twins going around starting these rumors. We were literally just on Larry King, and he asked us a twin question. Like that. And I was like, even Larry King.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to ask this, so that you'll never be asked.
Yeah, I think we have to accept that. I guess we got ripped off. We don't have any sort of special twin powers.
I mean, not that we've discovered. Or do we?
We don't know. What is a TV show or film that you always pretend to be familiar with, but in reality I've actually never watched?
That's very interesting. But now it feels like a date. Now it feels like you're just
This
trying
is
to provoke.
also another me question.
This also just is like,
Is this a lie detector test?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
No, I mean
I'm teasing.
I've
Yeah,
pretended.
tell us what's yours.
I mean, I pretend like when people bring up the Shawshank Redemption, I'm like,
Wow.
I've never seen it. I couldn't tell you what it's about.
Okay, but you just kind of go with it?
Totally.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
I mean, I definitely put things on lists that I haven't actually, like, definitely I've done that. Like, put a TV show or a band or a restaurant on a list because I've just heard from everyone I love and trust that it's something you should check out. And I would hate the fact that I hadn't indulged in it to limit. You're asking my opinion, and you know, so I've done that before, but there isn't something I consistently pretend to know about that I don't know about. I mean, except for like music, like what I do for a living. I mean, I'm kind of just like a little fakey, like through it all. Like I'm like I don't really know what these chords are called, and like I don't know. I just kind of winging it. I'm winging it.
I think I do it, but I think I don't. There's nothing that's jumping out specifically. Probably anything that won, like the Oscar for Best Picture, I'll be like totally, but I don't like to generally see those movies. I don't know why. Like, I didn't see 12 Years a Slave. There, I feel bad. I feel bad. I feel really bad, but I feel. You
have problems seeing movies that make you feel crushingly sad.
Yeah, I do have a hard time. I like to see a more of a cerebral person or a comedy person. Like
you watch documentaries a lot.
Yeah, I don't like movies like when people are like, I cried hysterically, you have to see it. I'm immediately like, I will never see
Whale Rider.
Whale Rider.
We just admitted this actually. This is so interesting.
Never see that movie.
We all sat backstage and admitted, like, I have never seen it, but it was because I sat next to my drummer and he watched it, and he was a very, very tough Russian man, and he bawled hysterically, and I was like, note to self, never watch that movie. I'm so sad.
The Alzheimer's movie that won an Oscar a couple years ago, where the woman is got Alzheimer's. I'll never see that movie. Any movie
just lost a grandparent to Alzheimer's. Not gonna watch it.
No, just anything that's gonna make me cry hysterically. Like, you know how I like to cry when something's sentimental. You know, like a kitten.
Like Christmas commercials, like about like the one where the snowman, the little girl plays with the snowman, and then she puts it in the freezer and takes him out every year. Have you seen this one? There's this commercial, guys. It's animated, okay? And it's like a little girl, and she builds the snowman, and then they put it in the freezer, and every Christmas pulls out the snowman, and like he waits for her to come and get her, and then as she gets older, she kind of gets busy with her life and moves on, and the snowman is just like...
Is this a Canadian commercial?
It might be. You guys, look it up. It is, honestly, the first time that I saw it, I was prepared to be upset because his mom had told me about it.
It's Canadian.
And commercial. It was like in the movie theaters, I think, or something. But she basically forgets about the snowman, and then she remembers him and brings him out, and he's so excited to see her. It's probably for like Tim Hortons or something. I sobbed. I was like, that is so beautiful. It's about forgetting your youth and the magic of
Do not see Inside Out. Did you see that?
No, I won't. I don't see any animated films. There's too many lessons.
Okay, let me tell you something. I don't like to cry at real life things, but Inside Out and WALL-E, like, I could weep.
WALL-E was the last animated film I saw because I sat between my mom and Michael, and it was just so upsetting.
WALL-E. I was in such a distraught place after I saw WALL-E that I went to my best friend's house and I sobbed. I was like, I feel sorrow because of the movie. And my mom was like, you are getting your period. But it was... I can still cry about that movie, and I just saw Inside Out with a friend. I saw it with Jasper, and I had to hold back sobs in the movie theater. Yeah, anything to do with cartoons and childhood is very hard for me.
Yeah, it's the nostalgia of it that's very disorienting.
Really
All right, I've got one last question.
Okay.
So you're going to South America next year, correct?
Yeah.
And so you're going to be on tour for a bit, and you are on tour right now. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you find that you miss out on being on tour?
So many things.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it's hard.
It's hard. You miss out on a lot of things. You know, we've been touring since the late '90s, and it's tough. We've missed really important. Like, you know, there's been times where we just couldn't get out of something when friends who we love were getting married, or, you know, the birth of a child of a friend that you love, or, you know, there's been people in our lives that have gotten sick or who've died, and like, you know, there's a lot of relationships that get kind of run down because of the time we spend on the road. But it's like a choice that we've made to continue doing what we do, because there's also this incredible gift that's come from what we do. You know, we've seen the world many times over. We are constantly adding new places to the list of places that we've been, and we get this incredible reward at the end of every day, which is we get to play a show and connect with our audience, and we're very proud of what we've created. So it kind of balances, but it's going to sound super cliche, but as we've gotten older, it's harder. It's definitely harder. It's easier to connect. It's easier to be entertained on an airplane. It's easier, like, we travel comfortably. We have a great team of people. I love playing music, but it gets harder as you get older because you look at time differently. Like, I used to just think of the next tour, and now I think, well, when we get off this tour, it's going to be like 2 years went by. And it gets scary as you get older to think 2 years away, you know.
My cats will be 4 and 3.
Yeah.
Just to bring it back to the cats. Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For talking
Thanks
to
everyone
her.
for watching.
Yes.
Thanks for all the hearts.
Yeah, those are a lot of hearts.
So many hearts.
So many hearts.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.